Reach for the speed, reach for the whistle, go where the rail may run. Reach for the words, reach for the story, follow the rainbow sun. To a shining time station, where dreams can come true, waiting there for you.
It was a bright sunny spring day. All the engines on the Southern United Railroad were working very hard and happily. All except for Milton, that is. He still hadn't been reinstated for his passenger express run. As he dropped off some boxcars to be unloaded at the Piscataway freight station, Larry puffed in with some coal cars from Denville. "Hello, Milton," Larry said. "Nice day, isn't it?" Milton didn't respond. "What's the matter, Milton?" asked Larry. "You know damn well what's wrong, Larry. I'm still not reinstated for my passenger express runs. I think Ray and Mr. Regan are going to keep me on freight trains forever." "You know, Milton," said Larry, "all you gotta do is work hard. If you do, I guarantee you'll be rewarded with your passenger express runs back." "You really think so?" Milton asked. "I know so," Larry smiled. "Ray rewards good behavior, so if you work good with your freight trains, you'll have your passenger trains back in no time." "You know, Larry," said Milton, "you're right. Thank you. I'll try it." And with that, Milton puffed away. And he was true to his word. Milton worked hard pulling freight trains wherever they were needed. He used his high speed to an advantage and got the freight cars onto their destinations on time. He was feeling very pleased with himself. One day, Danny was backing down onto her passenger train at Otisville for her return to South Plainsville when Kevin puffed in with the express train. "Hello, Kevin," said Danny. "Pulling the express, I see." "Oh, yes indeed," said Kevin. "It was my turn. It's hard work, but I enjoy it." Danny's fireman was beginning to connect the brake hoses between her and the coaches when... "What the hell was that?" said the fireman. "Oh, I'm sorry," said the diesel. "My driver didn't reach the brake in time." "Well, please be more careful in the future," said Kevin. "Yes, please," said Danny's fireman, and he hopped back into the cab. But he forgot to couple the air hoses together. This meant that when Danny's brakes would be applied, the coaches would push her on. Up the line, Milton was at Manville Yard when he heard Danny's whistle. Danny was running out of control. "Help! Help!" she cried. "I can't stop! I can't stop!" "Danny's a runaway," said Milton. "I must help her." And without another thought, Milton sprang into action. Danny was indeed moving fast, but Milton was faster. He drew alongside and eventually overtook her. He blasted his horn to warn everybody of the impending danger. "Steady, Milton, steady," warned his driver. He slowed Milton down enough so he could take the points. He clattered over them and onto Danny's line. His driver set his controls just enough so when Danny ran into him it wouldn't be a hard collision, which worked wonderfully. Milton then set to work trying to get the train under control. Ahead on their line was Andrew with some cement cars. He saw the runaway approaching. "What the?" he exclaimed. Milton and Danny then took the siding, but they still weren't out of the woods yet. "It's all or nothing now," said Milton's driver. "If we don't stop, we're gonna run straight through the derailer and into the freight train." "I must stop them. I must," cried Milton. Milton used every ounce of steam he had to slow the train down. They saw the derail getting closer and closer. There was nothing more anyone could do. Milton's crew and Danny's crew braced themselves in the cab for a collision, and the conductor instructed the passengers to do the same. Milton shut his eyes. Milton flew off the rails, and when he opened his eyes, he found he was stranded right on the highway. Danny and the passenger cars were off the tracks too, but they were still in line with the track. Andrew moved forward. Danny, Milton, are you two all right? I think so, Milton said, trying to catch his breath. Then all of a sudden they heard a hooray come from the passenger cars. Not any of the passengers were hurt. You're a hero, Danny said to Milton. If it wasn't for you, I would have hit the derailer at full speed and my passengers probably would have been hurt or either killed. Same for my crew, said Andrew. Thank you, Milton. You're welcome, smiled Milton, finally catching his breath. Milton and Danny were hoisted back on the rails and taken to the works. The workmen were inspecting their damages when Larry puffed in. Out stepped Ray and Mr. Egan from his cab. Milton, we heard all about what happened and we're very pleased with you. You risked yourself and saved Danny and all of her passengers, as well as Andrew. Thank you, sir, Milton replied. And said Ray, I think it's only right because of not only this, but you've been working pretty hard with your freight trains lately, that you should be reinstated to the express. Milton smiled. Ray, do you mean it? Said Milton. Yes, I do, said Ray. You certainly do deserve it, Danny added. You see, smiled Larry, what I told you? Hard work gets recognized around here. I do see that now, Milton replied. Thank you for your advice the other day. You're very welcome, Larry replied. So as soon as his repairs were done, Milton went back to taking the express train. He also became good friends with the other engines. He also now knows that it's okay to be proud, but that doesn't mean you should be conceited, rude, or careless. And I'm glad Milton learned his lesson. Aren't you? I wonder what's happening over there, he wondered. He puffed alongside and called out, Bernard, what happened? Did you derail that hopper car? No, I didn't, said Bernard. We had to replace the trucks under it because it was bad. I don't have accidents like you. Larry was cross. I haven't had an accident in a long time, he retorted. It doesn't matter, said Bernard. You still have had them. I've never had an accident. Larry was cross. He left his freight cars and went to the sheds. Kevin and Christian were there and wondered why Larry looked so cross. What's the matter, Larry? Asked Kevin. Bernard's being arrogant again. He says that he doesn't have accidents like me. That's kind of messed up to say, said Christian, considering the fact you haven't had an accident in a really long time. I know, snapped Larry. He's so arrogant and smug. One thing I learned, said Kevin, is that no engine is immune to accidents, no matter how good they are at their job. Kevin's right, agreed Christian. You never know, Bernard might slip up one day. I honestly hope he does, Larry said, still cross. The next day, Andrew was being impatient. He was waiting for the rail car to pass by on the line that runs to the cement works. Once the rail car had passed, Andrew said to his driver, Okay, the rail car's gone. Can we go now? We can't, said his driver. We have to wait for Bernard to pass by with a coal train first. But he's gonna take so long, complained Andrew. I want to get this job over with and go back to the sheds. There's a swing bridge just beyond the siding, and the rail car had crossed it, as normal. The towerman that controls the signals and the swing bridge opened the bridge so a fishing boat could pass through. But he soon found that he couldn't close it. Oh no, said the towerman, this is not good. He tried and tried, but it was no good. He had no choice but to set the signal to red. Like Andrew, Bernard was also waiting in the siding for the rail car to pass. Once it did and the switches were set, Bernard headed back onto the branch line and towards the drawbridge. All engines know that when it comes to the swing bridge, they always have the right-of-way, so they don't expect to stop. This was the case for Bernard, who was traveling at regular track speed. Too late, he saw the red signal in the open swing bridge. "Stop, Bernard, stop!" shouted his driver. "Uh-oh," said Bernard. His brakes were on, but he was going too fast and sliding toward the swing bridge. "Look out!" called Nora the fishing boat, but there was nothing else Bernard could do. With a crash and a splash, he rolled off the swing bridge. He had enough momentum that he went under the water and crashed into the mud on the other side of the bank. "Are you all right, Bernard?" asked Nora. Bernard tried to reply, but his mouth was still in the water, and everything he said just became a gurgling noise. Andrew and his driver heard the crash. "We better go see what's up," said Andrew's driver. When they saw, Andrew could not help but laugh. "Well, isn't this a great sight?" said Andrew. The great Bernard in the water after having an accident." Bernard said nothing. "You know, Bernard, you must try to be more careful," Andrew added. Bernard again tried to reply, but still his voice was lost in a gurgle. It wasn't long before Bernard was lifted out of the water and Steve took him to the works. It was unfortunate for Bernard that Larry also happened to be there dropping off some pipes. He had already heard about what had happened. "Oh, look," said Larry, no one in particular. "It's a new engine. And he happens to look exactly like Bernard." No, he then said. "It can't be Bernard. Bernard doesn't have accidents, and this engine looks like it's been in one. A quite watery and wet and muddy one, too, judging by all the mud on his frames and traction motors." Bernard didn't say a word. "I'm only kidding, Bernard," Larry chuckled. "I know that's you, but I hope this goes to show you that you shouldn't be so arrogant in the future." Again, Bernard didn't say anything. He just sighed. And I can assure you that after that day, Bernard never bragged about accidents ever again.